Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Faisel Syed.
And I'm Dr. Dan McCarter.
And you're listening to Faisel and Friends, where we believe access to primary care is a right, not a privilege.
Faisel and Friends is brought to you by Primary Care for America, a diverse collaboration of innovators leading the way towards comprehensive, continuous, and coordinated primary care.
Today, we're talking about a year in review, looking forward to 2026. Let's get started. Hello, Dr. Dan.
Hi, Faisel. How are you?
I'm doing great. Can you believe it? Here we are at the end of another year, 2025.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's been a real year of a lot of great conversations, and there's been a lot going on, but I think there's a lot of hope to be found in the conversations we've been having as well.
Yeah, we're still talking. We're still learning.
Right.
And I'm feeling more hopeful now than when we started this past year. Like, I'm feeling more and more hopeful.
Right. And I think part of it is recognizing that our system isn't just broken, right? The fee-for-service system, as Wayne Jonas told us, the fee-for-service system is not broken. It's designed for sickness. It's producing the outcome it's been designed to produce. And we have to then think about the creative ways that we can redesign the system to get better outcomes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we were all trained. I remember just being able to present a patient properly on rounds. Not to go around the whole, like everything had to be around the chief complaint and like being tight with the presentation and getting really, really good and feeling proud of, the process. And the process worked. I mean, it worked in the hospital. There's definitely space for that to work in a setting, like in that hospital setting. It made sense. I want the residents and doctors to be generating a differential. We need to be able to do that.
You're right. There's no substitute for quality medical care. You have to do that. But we have broken the concept that the doctors need to know how much things are costing that they're asking patients to do. And that really is something that we have seen it happen not only to the disadvantaged patients that we've both had a lot of experience caring for, but even some of our guests, some of the physicians are having trouble with that as well. So I think it is a system that needs to be, we need to improve it for all of us, not just for one group of people. It's not about entitlements. It's about getting everybody the care that they so richly deserve.
Yeah, Dr. Jonas has always had a way with words.
Yes.
Like I could see him and hear him saying, the system isn't broken. It's just succeeding at the wrong mission.
That's right. But, one of the other things that seemed to come up this year was, I know we've been talking with people about direct primary care for a few years now, but it sounds like it's really getting some momentum coming out of 2025 going into 2026.
Yeah, I'm excited about a lot of the rules, like some of the core rules around that, because now next month, like in January 2026, people can use their health savings account to pay for their direct primary care membership, $150 a month, if I remember correctly, per person, which is just fabulous. It's great.
Well, and it also will allow employers
Yes.
who have really bought into direct primary care, it's going to allow them to offer this to patients and allow them to have the high deductible health plans and have a health savings account. In the past, if a company that's been very progressive in something like this, like Boeing, if their employee chose a high deductible health plan, they didn't have access to the direct primary care. And now it's going to allow, it seems like that will be a good marriage to have direct primary care with high deductible health plans, and especially for people who can't afford the high premiums. So that should be a win for the employers, a win for their employees. And it seems like the doctors working in that model are feeling very energized by that model as well.
When we're independent as doctors, right? The trust just, it's a different kind of trust than if a drug manufacturer started opening up clinics. It'd be a lot of hard work to earn trust. Like the patient would be like, okay, are you really working for me? Like, are you working for the drug company? And then like now when doctors are working independently and they have people who are buying into like, okay, I'm going to do this membership. I've got a relationship now with this doctor. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. They're not even thinking about it. It's like my relationship with my gym. I don't think about the payment, right?
Right.
So the trust issue isn't there, that has crept in because so many of us became employed.
Well, and for the primary care physicians, I mean, there was a long time when people were in private practice, right? And they practiced for themselves. And then it's gotten to the point now where so many primary care providers work for hospitals and hospital systems, and they have non-competes in place, but they've
Yeah.
almost all the non-competes say that you can go into your own practice. We'll never stop you from that. But it's been almost impossible to do that. But this new model, along with some of the things that are happening in technology, some of the different EHRs that are out there that are designed around direct primary care, and then the AI tools that people are able to use, it really does make it possible to say, I'm going to do it on my own. If I can't do it with you, I'll do it on my own, and we'll see how it goes. So I think we may see more of that going forward. I don't know, but it looks like it's good to have options, and it does give the primary care providers one more option for a satisfying career.
Yeah. The technology that was designed originally for billing and for these big hospitals, that's still there, but now there's all this grassroots stuff. It's never been easier to have a grassroots stuff, right, designed for the doctor patient.
And I think it was David Carmouche, right, that he was talking to us about how AI was bringing some of the humanity back to medicine. It technology traditionally, as you were saying, has been about how to create billable encounters, and this is how to support the providers, the doctors, to be able to interact with the patient and not have to be focused on typing the whole time.
Yeah, because the relationship isn't there. Suddenly, the computer became a barrier in between the doctor and the patient, and that is something that I don't think anybody saw coming, because it was just such a foundational pillar in all societies. The doctor-patient relationship. We never would have thought. Okay, I think about some of the founders, especially of family medicine. Could you imagine what they would imagine the doctors have a computer and like that, they're like this on the side talking with the patient. And then he said it was Dr. Carmouche was the one who said, yeah, he said we digitized billing, not care.
I mean, it is exciting. Obviously, we had a number of people at the FMX. I mean, there was just a lot of excitement there around using around AI. I think it was Steve Waldron made the point that AI is not perfect, and it can be a team member, but we always have to check its work. It's like having a good intern with us. We have to trust but verify, right?
I've been using that myself. So when you said about it being a good intern, I forgot where it came from. It actually came from Dr. Waldron.
Yeah, it's right. I think that's that's important. So I know you're doing a lot of work around care coordination. And I know Jeff Brenner, he has the terminology that in the past we've been coordinating to nowhere. And so having good access to primary care, not just individual providers and individual visits, but primary care teams that can help their patients. And I know you've been doing a lot of work in that. I mean, where do you see that going?
Well, that's the thing, is that there's so many of us who don't see that kind of struggle. Care is there, but how are people still struggling? The care is there. They're going to the hospital. They're going to the emergency room, right? And the thing is that's what Dr. Brenner was like. He's like, you had a patient that was being admitted to the hospital over and over again, multiple times to the emergency room, and then finally somebody asked the patient, "Okay, well, who's your doctor?" And the patient said, "I don't have one." So like, yeah, but I mean, we're good with scheduling appointments for, we'll see the patient in the emergency room and say, hey, you got to go follow up, and you got to go get the refill on this medicine. But what good is all that if you don't address like the root causes.
Right.
I was in a case conference yesterday with a patient, a difficult to engage patient. This was in Virginia or Maryland. It was in Maryland. A difficult to engage patient. And then finally, one of our team at City Block was able to engage with the patient. And the reason he's been so difficult to engage and going in and out of the hospital, he's working 2 jobs.
Well, and I mean, as we see, I mean, as we're talking now, it looks like there's going to be significant cuts coming to Medicaid. And for the people who are buying insurance on the exchanges, there are going to be significant increases in the cost of insurance. And at the end of the day, it's not just about the rising cost of insurance, it's the rising cost of care. And
Yes.
we've talked about that a lot, but I've seen a number of times, I'm thinking of a patient who had high blood pressure and diabetes and hyperlipidemia, and he's a private business owner but I mean, working in I think a construction trade of some sort, and he had a stroke. So his blood pressure was out of control, his diabetes was out of control, his lipids were really high, and was able to get him in pretty regularly after that stroke, because that's pretty scary when you can't talk, right? But then, after about 3 months, I think the bills started showing up and he quit coming. And so that is, how do we keep people engaged with that? Because at some point, if he were to have a catastrophic stroke that didn't reverse itself, then all of a sudden he's going to be disabled, and then somebody's going to be paying for his care, and the impact it would have on his family is pretty huge too. And I just, how do we understand that we're sort of all in this together, right?
And historically, the primary care doctor was the one who was the trusted one from everyone, right? Like the doctor, we've got all these great notes here from over the past year. And we've got a beautiful note about Dr. Lee, Dr. J. Lee, saying that the primary care doctor is the guide through the whole healthcare system. The primary care doctor is not supposed to be a gatekeeper, not supposed to be a traffic cop. He's a guide.
Right.
Somebody who helps you and shows you the way.
Yeah, he's supposed to walk with you, not be a barrier to getting care, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jay used the term spirit guide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we talked to young doctors, Dr. Sharma in Kansas City, talking about the difference that she's been able to make in patients' lives, and how that is so great to be part of that, be part of people's lives, and to really make a difference. I think she said one patient she'd worked with for 2 years came to her and said, "If you hadn't worked with me, I wouldn't still be alive." I mean,
Wow.
that means a lot for a young doctor to hear that.
Yeah, because you can't have behavior change without trust, and trust takes time. It's not just on one person. We've got now the concept of having a team-based care approach. It leans in with earning trust. And yeah, so you'll end up having better patient experiences, especially if you've got models. I mean, that's the thing, is that now we've gotten specialized with having different ways of looking at society's problems. So like in the world I'm in right now, my work heavily focuses around people going in and out of the hospital, right? And so it's easier for me to have a model where the entire team can hone in on what the reason is someone is going to the hospital, right? Like it's not going to be, hey, this person's going in and out of the hospital with very high glucose levels, so let's put this person into a diabetes care pathway, right? It's digging in a little bit deeper and understanding that this person has a continuous glucose monitor that they don't understand how it works, or it's not working right, or it's not syncing right to their device, and they don't have any other device to check their finger stick blood glucose levels. So it's not that this patient needs to go into a diabetes care pathway. It's addressing the device issue, the device malfunction issue, or the device understanding issue, right? And then you've got people. Well, look at the direct primary care. How the direct primary care world has skyrocketed. I mean, it's all over. So their work is not going to be the same kind of focus as an intense, I'm sure they have patients who are going in and out of the hospital, but their work is not going to be like mine, where my day from morning till night is looking at all the issues behind the issues with people going like the boring things, right? Not that for us, it's not clinically stimulating, but for patients, it's incredibly meaningful. So, so yeah, I just feel like depending on where you want to make a difference, right? Like you have the options have never been easier now. I mean, you could even go right into the belly of the hospital and now you've got the tools that weren't even there just a handful of years ago.
I think you're right. We've got to be thinking about education, how we educate future doctors, and they're still being trained primarily in the hospitals. So it's really important for people to do that work, to be there and teach them the skills they need to care for the patients. You still have to provide good care, right? It's not easy. And we talk a lot. It is important to love on our patients, to to make them feel valued. But it's also really important on those times when you pull out that prescription pad to be able to know, is this the right drug to add in right now? Is this the right dosage? Are we doing the right things? Because so many people have so many complicated, multi illness complexities. So it's not just one, it's the CKD3 that goes along with the heart failure, that goes along with the diabetes. And if you're not careful, you're giving one drug for this, it's adversely impacting the other conditions. And so you really have to be thinking about how to bring the whole thing together.
Yeah. And with the medical education, the younger doctors, especially, I mean, I haven't thought about what happened during COVID and the generation of doctors who were, work studying and going through the world in that time, similar to my children. It's like one thing if if you lived enough or you experienced enough prior to that time, right? Like I look at my oldest son who lived through a significant part of his childhood pre that world. So then he was just itching to get out of the post COVID world and back into interacting again, right? But then my second son, who really went through, like it was a critical part of his life going through that time, and then the adjustment after that world, like with the middle schoolers, for example. I did the Great American Teach-In last month. I think it was last month, and for a lot of these kids who came through that time, they're really struggling with how to make connections because so much of their interactions were done on the computer and playing these video games and talking with friends and family virtually. I think about the young doctors too, young residents, medical students who got into their careers at this time where so much of the work was how well you captured the information, to now we've got the tools available where you can just have a full conversation. It's just you and your patient, and the tools are there getting rid of a lot of that. So they have to learn they have to learn the art of engagement, the art of engaging with somebody who's nervous, right, or somebody who's distrustful. Yeah, and so yeah, so I'm excited to see what'll happen with that. I mean, look what there was a conversation with Dr. Carmouche about the ambient AI, and look at from where we were when we had that conversation with him to where we are now.
Oh, I know. And it's changing every day. And it really is a game changer in the ability to bring so much knowledge into the exam room and to free up the conversations and being able to pay attention to what the patient has to say. I mean, where do we see things going? Dr. Asaf Batan is talking about the triple double. I don't think he's talking about the basketball triple double. So what does he mean when he's talking about that? By 2030, doubling the spend on primary care,
Yeah.
doubling the number of people going into primary care, and then doubling the primary care access, the number of visits that patients are able to get cared for I know he's very interested in the community health centers, and I think that's great. I think we're going to probably more than see doubling of the direct primary care models that are coming out there. So I think this will be an exciting time to see what's happening with that.
Yeah, I think as we get over there, especially what I've been seeing in the city block model, where we've got the constraint. The constraints are there. The doctor is like the primary care doctor, or even the nurse practitioner who's the PCP. Like, we're the hardest ones to reach. And so, since a lot of the waste that we see happening in healthcare is driven by a lot of these social issues, right? There are a lot of things, and we've been talking about this for years. There's a lot of things that can be handled by people who are not a doctor, not a nurse, where you can have a social worker do a lot of the work and working in the team, not working independently, but working within the team to handle a lot of the smaller issues under the oversight of a trained clinician that can address a lot of the big stuff, that people run into. We think about now, even just from a year ago, how much time doctors are spending on prior authorizations. It's not an issue anymore, right?
It is, but yeah, it's now. I feel like it's they give us their complaints, and they give us their AI generated complaints, and we feed it into our AI, and it goes back and forth. And I don't know. It's sort of a marathon to see who gives in first and quit sending it back and forth. But yeah, I think you're right. There are some great tools there that are going to help us going forward.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, very hopeful for 2026. I'm excited about what's going to happen with employers and all the rules around direct primary care. I think that's going to be really exciting. I'm excited for the growth of direct primary care and the impact to individuals to be able to access a doctor. Yeah, we've got all these great tools and great AI tools and things, but at the end of the day, there is nothing in the world like a good doctor-patient relationship, especially when you're scared.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when you're scared. You can have any kind of pain that could be, you can put it into the AI and it'll give you all the different scary things. But you have that, there's nothing like that, the human touch, especially in moments that we're scared.
Right. And I think you're bringing up a good point. That's the other thing we want to try and bring on into the episodes coming into the new year is going to be the patient voice. I know we've done that some, but we want to make a concerted effort to bring some doctors and their patients with them to hear the patient side of how this is impacting some of them. So not a full changeover at every episode, but again, I think it would be great if the patient really is the heart of healthcare. So I think it's really important to hear their voice as we're going forward too.
Yeah, especially the ones who are misunderstood.
Right.
It's really easy to get labeled. There's a significant chunk of the population who get labeled as being difficult and all the different terrible things that, like the patient working 2 jobs, he's in survival mode.
Right. And then somebody will say he's non-compliant because he didn't come to his visit, and the provider is not going to give him a prescription without coming to a visit. And, he's got to decide whether his family eats or whether they keep a roof over their head. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not disengaged.
Right.
Working 2 jobs, and he felt so apologetic that, it's so hard for him, but he's just chasing his tail, just trying to make ends meet. And then imagine for the single moms, I'd love for that. I'd love to bring out their stories. There's so many misperceptions in this time. We're living in probably one of the most sensationalist times where like all the noise and quick judgments. And then meanwhile, you've got such a significant chunk of the population really struggling. They're working hard.
They are. And again, as society goes, it's not really political, right? It's not like there's one way to do it. We've talked about that $1 in $5 in the economy is being spent on healthcare. Between $1 in $4 and $1 in $3 of those dollars that's spent on healthcare is wasted. And at the end of the day, we've got to look at models that decrease the cost of healthcare to society. And it's regardless if you're going to pay for it out of your own pocket, if the employer is going to pay for it, if you're going to buy insurance on the exchange is going to pay for it, if one of the government programs is going to pay for it, it's still, we've got to look at how we control the cost, and that other countries getting better outcomes have lower cost healthcare. So it's not unobtainable, but we do have to figure out how to work together to do that.
Yeah, I found a ridiculous statistic about the number of children being raised by single moms. It's a terrible number. It's around 5 million. 5 million kids being raised by single moms.
Yeah.
And then when you look into the world they're being brought up in with everything, they may have a place to live, but it's not a stable place to live. Maybe it could be for a few months or or they're living with somebody else. And then the world that surrounds them, like, the payday, these businesses for the poor, these seedy car dealerships and the advanced payday loans. And a lot of these families are just one flat tire. It's just one flat tire away from tragedy. And then all the issues with access, going to the doctor, the child ends up going to the hospital or the emergency room. We can make it work we're already paying for it. Like, if we invested
Right.
a little bit of money, other developed countries in the world, they wouldn't think twice. The child has no choice in the matter. They're born into this life, they're born into this world. But no, in America, we feel like we're going to treat the child based on the way we feel about the parents who brought this child into this world. And other developed countries in the world look at it that way. And we need to, if we invested a little bit now, imagine what would happen, because we're paying the price.
Yeah.
We're already paying too much.
Yeah, let's invest it where it will make the most difference. And so, yeah, and then if we make those members of societies more productive, we'll all benefit from that.
We all will. We all will. It's not trickle down.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Faisal, I mean, it's been a great year, and I mean, there's a lot to worry about. You can either get really depressed or get really hopeful, and I certainly would rather stay on the hopeful side of things, because I think that way it's easier to get up and go to work in the morning and try to make a difference.
Yeah, I feel more hopeful too. I mean, I don't think everything's ever going to be completely fixed, right? I mean, but like, we get to see daily what's possible when you've got teams of people that they're just always there in the business of caring, like all the quiet stuff. That nurse who spends the extra little bit of time, or the doctor who spends a little bit of extra time. It's the quiet moments in this loud world.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I look forward to the new year, Faisal.
I look forward to as well. And for anyone listening, and if you're out there doing that steady, quiet work, that quiet work counts. Thanks for listening.
What are your thoughts on a year in review? Looking forward to 2026. You've heard ours. Now we want to hear yours.
Email us at faisalandfriends@gmail.com, and your question could be featured on the podcast.
If you like this episode, leave us a review and tell us how we're doing. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode.
Connect with us on social media by following Faisel and Friends.
And follow Primary Care for America on LinkedIn and Twitter.
I'm Dr. Faisel.
And I'm Dr. Dan.
And thanks for listening. This podcast is brought to you by Primary Care for America Collaborative and produced by Split Prism Productions.